Hey, call me Fox. Welcome to my first ever YouTube video. Please excuse any of the issues you might notice with lighting, the recording process, the voiceover. It's been a long time since I've ever recorded myself painting and then having to do a voiceover. It's like the first time I've ever had to do this. So it's kind of just learning on the fly. To introduce the piece, this is a Master Studies painting. It's originally done by Ivan Aivazovsky, a Russian painter, called Storm at Sea, that was originally painted in 1873. It's a romantic style painting, which, looking back on it, was an interesting piece to pick for my first time painting in 9 months technically, but before that was like 4 years, so I kind of threw myself in the deep end a little bit with this, but I figured, I didn't want to have to come up with my own original piece. So I figured, why not do a Master Studies painting? This is me just figuring out how to paint, I guess, really. Like the art supplies I'm using, these oil paints are from I think I bought them a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. The paintbrushes, oh man, they're probably 6 years old or something like that, way back when. This is my third ever oil painting that I've finished. So a lot of this is me kind of figuring out how this works with the materials I've got. It's oh, why don't you use a bigger paintbrush? I don't have a bigger paintbrush. I'm really sorry. I used to do watercolors and some acrylics and gouache stuff. Oil painting has never been my thing. This is it was a whole new experience trying it last year. And then I went on holidays and proceeded to get distracted by life, But here I am recording my first ever video. I've done little snippets on TikTok and stuff last year, but in sketchbook stuff, but this year I really want to make an effort to make a recording of the whole process, just so I can look back on it as I kind of figure out how to paint again. It's not really a thing you lose. It's kind of just you lose either the motivation or you get the really bad art block, which is what I had. And I was okay, best way to overcome this is Master's Studies. Don't have to think, just got to figure out how the hell they got to their end piece. Also copying a piece that's significantly larger on a very much smaller painting is always an interesting process too, especially when you don't have the right paintbrushes. There's people later on in this painting and they're just little blobs. You can kind of get the arms and stuff, but yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this process. I don't really know what else to say. I might just ramble and maybe talk about what I was thinking at the time, and just for a record for me, at least when I look back, this is very interesting. Just where I decided to just give up on the whole boat in the middle there. I know it's there, and I do paint it a few times, and then I just go stuff it. I need to paint in the shadow underneath the boat. Let's just get rid of it. It's I have the final piece in front of me as I'm recording this, so I'm kind of looking at what I ended up with versus where we are now, and it's kind of amazing. Also, yes, I did make it a little octopus at one point there. Yes, and there goes the octopus. I was just painting, all of a sudden I was it looks like an octopus. Put in the legs, and I was I can't leave that there. Yeah, a lot of this is me just trying to figure out how. The original painting is really dark because obviously it's a storm at sea. And I have blues and browns and yellows, a red and a green, and then white. So I don't have a black, and I don't particularly like using black. I like to make a dark colour with blue and brown, just because it's a lot more natural then. But it's interesting then trying to get a storm cloud because it's a very interesting shade of grey, because you're mixing the white, the blue, and the dark brown in different ratios, sometimes adding even in the green that you can see there, and even yellow, which comes in later in the process. And the romantic is so hard to blend. Throwing myself into the deep end here with a romantic style painting and having no idea how they blend this stuff out. Maybe I should have done research, but I was I just want to paint. This was 4 hours. So it's not going to be oh yeah, here I changed paintbrushes. I was like, let's try a different paintbrush. I have a fan brush. Yeah, I use it for like a few minutes and then I go, nah, back to the normal paintbrush. I think I use like 3 or 4 paintbrushes. One I use for a lot of stuff, and then one I use it's like a slightly smaller. Yeah, my phone there in the corner has the painting on it. And you can see I'm really just using old like kids dishes. Oh yeah, that red is the screen that I had on that's above my painting. Was on Spotify and proceeded to go really red, and I was like, oops, I should turn that off. But yeah, so a lot of this is, I don't know, me just figuring out clouds. Clouds are really hard. There's a lot of blending in clouds, and this is not dark enough. Like the end piece is definitely not dark enough. But you know, my goal for this painting was I wanted to only work on it for a few hours. This is day 2, so the first day was about an hour and a half of painting. This next day is about 2.5 hours, so about 4 hours all up. And I kind of just I wanted to paint for a few hours, and I wanted to be something that I would be happy to put up on my wall to look at, considering this is my first piece I've done in a long time. That was my goal for this. I wasn't expecting anything, you know, amazing or like 10 out of 10. I wanted to be happy with it. Like, even now I look at the final piece and I can see, oh yeah, this needs to be darker, or this needs to be lighter, or this could be more defined, or the shadows here aren't dark enough. And I can talk about that a little bit more as we go towards the final bit where I start working on the boats. Here's where I start to really try to bring out the darkness in the clouds, because they're really grey and mine are too blue. And that's kind of an issue I face for a lot of this, is I'm like, I can't see the colour I'm missing. And I do know it's yellow. I do figure that out towards the end here. And that's only after I get to like the boats. So I'm like, oh, yellow, right, sun. I don't have my sun in the sky. I just have greens, but I don't have the yellow to make the green. So that's kind of why everything kind of looks off. I also end up blending everything together towards the end here. And it's very interesting. I look at this and I'm like, maybe I should do an impressionist style painting next, just because like that's very obviously what the style I'm painting is here. So maybe I'll paint something like that next. If you have any suggestions, if you've gotten this far, please say a piece. Like, I love Monet and stuff like that. Always been a big art kid growing up. So if you've got any pieces or any painters you think I should look at, please suggest them. I would take any kind of criticism. It's great. But yeah, so this is me just fiddling and being like, not happy, but like, I always have to remember when I do these things, it's like, you're never going to be happy with a painting until it's like right at the end. You know, like, because especially like I'm at this point maybe 2/3 of the third, like halfway through the whole painting process. So I'm like, I'm only just starting to get to the point where I'm developing the dark shadows. Oh yeah, this is where I had a really bright sunny day and I had giant clouds go with my sun. So I realised I need probably a secondary light rather than just the natural light coming in my giant ass window. So I apologise for the next few minutes of really bright to really dark. I don't notice this until after all the sun. Even me, when I was painting this, I was like, how the hell is this so dark? It's like a bright ass sunny day. I forgot what I was talking about, but yeah, we'll continue. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out ocean. It's very interesting how oceans go like that turquoise yellow tone when it's right at the storm. It's really pretty. It's one of the things that attracted me to this painting originally. I feel like if I had the money, I would totally buy a print of one of this guy's paintings just because they're so beautiful. And, you know, I love this style of artwork and I've never done anything. So I was like, that's kind of why I think I picked it. I was like, I want to know how they do it. So, yeah, it's just me figuring stuff out. This recording is also me just rambling along for 15 minutes. So I hope you don't mind that either. Also, it's like one of the things I need to keep track of when I do these master studies is where everything is and how big things is, like things are, I need to make sure my sizing's right in terms of where things are positioned in the frame. Like, this is probably a little too small technically. The angle on this boat is a little wrong, and so is the big ship up the back. But you know, when you're just starting painting it, I didn't want to push myself to the point where I was like, I am not enjoying the process anymore. I want to enjoy the process the whole way through, regardless of the thoughts, you know, that midway point where like, oh my god, it looks hideous and I hate it and I hate everything about this. You know, you got to push through that piece of, you know, where your brain goes, this is awful and I hate it, just throw it in the bin. Yeah, more shadows. And there's my head starting to peek in the corner. Yeah, so this is just recorded on my desk. Nothing fancy. Yes, I probably should get like a desk easel, and I should have this and I should have that. But like, this is what I got. So, you know, I'm making do. I'm just learning. I'm just teaching myself how to paint. And here are my little plops of people. This boat is very interesting. Trying to get it like in the water, but at the same time showing that it's a stormy sea. I don't make it stormy enough, to be honest. But we get there. You know, we're still quite a bit of the way to go. I haven't even started the third boat that's in this painting yet. I just kind of leave it empty. And I do use a good old pencil to mark in some stuff. Because way back when I did do a life drawing class when I was back at university. So the skills I did learn back when I was painting and, well, not painting, I didn't really paint much. I drew a lot. You know, I learned a lot of stuff, and it's kind of just reminding myself how things work. I feel like this is as done as the people get. I think I like touch them up a little bit more later on, but they pretty much stay like this from now on. And a lot of this is me just being like, that's good enough. I'm happy with where they are. I don't need to touch them anymore. Yeah, here's the second boat. I find an interesting thing when doing paintings like this is like, you don't notice how things are actually painted until you're actually focusing on it. Like, to be honest, I didn't know how dark the ocean was in that little back bit. I should. I live by the ocean. I know exactly what the ocean looks like when it's stormy. But I just didn't see it in the painting. And it was only when I put this boat in did I realise, I was like, oh, it's really dark back there. I really should make it more choppy, and I need to add in more that dark blue grey that goes with the sky. And I'm starting to get it here, you know, like I'm just starting to add in all the wave breaks and the white caps. Yeah. Honestly, like, if I had to rate myself, like, yes, there's things I don't like about, well, not don't like it, there's things I can improve upon next time. But overall, in terms of my liking of it, I'd call it an easy, like, 7 or 8 out of 10. Like, I like it. I'll put it up on my wall as, like, a motivation thing. Once it dries, oh my god, it's like the one thing I always forget with oil paintings, being so used to like gouache and like watercolors. They dry, like stuff dries so fast, and this dries so slow. It's just a very interesting learning process. But I mean, that was one thing I wanted to do with oils. Like, I want to learn how to blend, maybe not properly, but just learn how oils work, and how far I can push them. And you know, it's a lot of trial and error until you figure it all out. Now we're getting pretty close to the end. Adding the yellow into the sky and stuff like that is getting pretty close. Yeah, this is me being like, I can't, pushing back the dark storm clouds, but then realising I've pushed them forward again, and it's like, I need to make them darker, but at the same time I'm like, well, I'm kind of happy with how they look like, and I don't really want to mess about with them too much. Yeah, this is me making it more grey. I was like, it's so blue, I need to make it more grey. They end up a little flat. Clouds are so hard, storm clouds especially, because there's so much depth in them. They end up a little flat at the end, but you know, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I do, I do know that in the end I forgot to record the bit where I blended it all together. I literally just got my finger and just kind of like smeared all of it together because I was like, I don't know how to do this, but I know how to do it with my finger. So I just use like the pad of my finger and I just kind of blend everything together. So yeah, this is pretty much the last few seconds, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching if you got all the way through, and yeah, this is the final piece. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, thanks.